Okay. Our mission. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Irene. And I just want to make sure, I see a lot of people are typing their names and where they're from, and if they're an affiliate leader, caring listener, or if they're a board member in the chat box, but I just want to remind you to do that. I also want to let you know that there will be time for questions after Nancy speaks. So please also remember to type your questions in the chat box. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Nancy, and I'm thrilled to do so. In 2012, after I was told that the orbs that I had been appearing in my photographs since 2010 were meant to be shared to help those in grief, my son Robbie crossed over to the other side 2 days before his 28th birthday on January 19th, 2010. Shortly after, I started to notice orbs in my photos. I have always believed in life after life and that it is possible to receive signs and messages from our loved ones in spirit. So 6 months after my son's crossing, I booked a reading with a renowned medium, Hollister Rand, for me and my husband. She told us that our son was standing between us with orbs and light all around him, and that this would be important. And don't be surprised if I start getting orbs in my photos. Boy, she wasn't kidding. The orbs started out slowly, a few at a time and faint, but I continued to take pictures every day, and soon they intensified in size, color, and appearance. I realized I could talk to them and that they would respond by appearing in certain spots in the photo. After thousands of photos, I started noticing faces in the orbs. And then, when I described the face to the sitter in the photo, they would often confirm that it was indeed their loved one who they had asked to come and sit next to them. Sometimes I am imprinted with an image, with a message from the orbs for the sitter. Since starting my spiritual path to honor my son's request of me, I have taken many mediumship workshops, started yoga, practiced transcendental meditation, became a Reiki master, and a certified angel card reader. I consider myself to be an orb medium, but I am aware that my path has just begun and I still have a lot of learning ahead of me. My education, both from spirit and the classroom, is ongoing, and I eagerly apply myself to my work. This ability doesn't come from me, but through me, and it is my intent to do this for the greater good. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Nancy Myers.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It truly is my privilege to be here, and I'm honored to meet you all. Yes, I have lost my son, and unfortunately we all belong to that club, but what he has given me and what he has shown me through his passing literally has changed my life. You know, he died unexpectedly. He was away from home. He had a very bad cold, and he was staying with his aunt and uncle, and he was a healthy 6 foot strapping, you know, young man. but we think he had H1N1. And what happened is he took too many over-the-counter cold medicines along with the cold, and he just literally floated out of his body. He woke me up at the exact time that he passed, and that was the first of many signs. But when Elizabeth read my brief bio there, you know, when I first went to the medium and Hollister Rand, and she said, you know, do you know what orbs are? And I said, well, not really. And she said, well, that is one of the reasons why your son crossed. It's to awaken you spiritually, get you on the path, and to help other parents. And I thought, well, how is a little orb in a photo going to help, you know, heal? He said, we're going to work one soul at a time, Mom. I on this side and you on that side. And so I said, okay. So I agreed to do this. I've always been interested in the spiritual side of the afterlife. I would never describe myself as a medium or say that I had any gifts. I was always fascinated watching the mediums on TV and reading the books and all that. So when he asked me to do this, it frightened me a little bit, but I said, okay, gall darn it, if this was one of the main reasons why you were here and why you crossed, then I'm gonna do it for you. So I did. I started taking the pictures. I knew that my son was Robbie. I knew that Robbie was with me. So I always felt protected. I always felt guided. I just knew I had to show up. So I began literally going out in the yard every night, asking the orbs to come in, saying my prayers. But the biggest thing that I tell people is I expected the orbs to be there. That was my intent. If I'm out there taking pictures and I go, oh, nothing will probably show up, guess what? I'm blocking it. Nothing's going to show up. But if I'm out there and I invite the orbs in and I expect them to show up, then they do. You know, people ask me, why are they here? You know, and I tell them, well, they've always been with us, but now they can be seen because of our technology. You know, I'm sure you all have had stories where lights have flickered or televisions go on and off or your phone acts crazy or things turn on by themselves. It's because of that ability of spirit to manipulate our technology. Well, they manipulate our cameras as well. They manipulate the things that show up on our cameras. They just love the digital camera. So I'm going to show you because people ask me. I had one well-intentioned mom asked me one time. She said, well, do you use an orb camera? I don't think there is such a thing as an orb camera, but I said, no, I just use this very simple digital. This is a Nikon Coolpix. But what I always do is I always leave the flash on. So one thing that I tell in my presentations and demonstrations, everybody can get orbs. What you have to do is like I said earlier, expect them to be there. Leave the flash on your camera day and night. It's not that they reflect, they absorb the energy to appear on the photos. And then just try to raise your vibration by standing in joy and love. I'm sure you all know that, you know, love raises our vibration. Our loved ones, our sons and daughters in spirit, they're right next to us always. They just vibrate faster. They vibrate at a different rate than we do. So the more we can raise our vibration, the more they can meet us halfway and then communicate with us. And I'm sure I'm not telling you anything different than what a lot of mediums have told you if you ever go for readings. It's just like when I go to a private event and I'll take pictures of a mom or a dad, and I can tell that they are still very, very in a lot of suffering, and they just can't bring themselves even to smile. So we sit, we talk. I'll ask them to tell me a little story about a funny thing that happened. Just that little crack in the door of having them smile and laugh then allows their loved one to come in. And I'll take a picture, and sure enough, there'll be an orb right next to them or on them. I have probably taken over 10,000 pictures of orbs. I have done hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people with their orbs. Not once, knock on wood, has spirit ever let me down when I go to take a picture of someone. They have always had an orb by their side. But the orbs will appear purposefully. Spirit doesn't leave messages. They're not willy-nilly. There's always a purpose as to why they come, why they try to communicate with us. So I tell people, if it's just like Elizabeth said, she takes a picture and gets an orb, and her son appears in the exact same place all the time. So if it's on your heart, or a lot of people will be struggling, let's say there's an orb that appears on their elbow, and I'll say, are you suffering from your elbow? And they'll say yes. And I'll say, well, Spirit's sending you healing energy. So orbs are a lot more than just our loved ones. They're angels, there's energy, there's incarnate, or beings that have never incarnated, and there are loved ones. But what's happened now, and what I love, is when I first started taking orbs, I have to tell you, they started out with little tiny gray spots. And I was so excited and so thrilled. But I kept at it. And because I literally built a relationship with Spirit and with the orbs, they started to develop more color. The insides of the orbs started changing. Their size increased. But then I started noticing, like Elizabeth said, I could see the faces. And I would describe the faces. There's always one characteristic that we all share, right? Or that we have. If somebody says, oh, think of Nancy, well, what would you think? Oh, she has gray hair, okay. So maybe that's what I would see in the orb, long white hair on somebody. Or if somebody had a big bushy mustache, that face I'd see, oh, they had a big bushy mustache. And so in the beginning, I was the only one that could see this. But as this progressed, pretty soon the orbs then started appearing, and the faces inside almost look like pencil drawings. You can go to my website, and I have some of those orbs on there. But why I'm so excited about that is because then it's not just me telling you, I have your loved one here. You can see it for yourself. So I heard somebody talking. I'm sorry, I didn't want to talk over anybody. Also, the colors of the orbs will send a message. Pink to me is love. My son comes in as teal. So when he wants to send a message to me, I'll get a beautiful teal orb. I have to tell you, people ask me a lot, do you capture your son's face? And for years I said no. The only thing he would do is show up as a teal orb for me. So I asked him through a medium one time, I go, why won't he show himself to me? And she said, well, he's saying it's too painful. Well, that just changed last year. So I finally got my own son in an orb, and I was absolutely thrilled. So now he's been there 2 or 3 times. So, and it's not limited to our loved ones. I've also gotten pets. So our beloved pets will show up. Pets are part of the family, right? so they'll show up and just to let us know, hey, I made it to the other side, but I'm still with you. So, okay, so I'm going to say, people ask me also, what are orbs? So first of all, I want to tell you that orbs are not flat discs. They're literally spheres, okay? The picture will flatten them out. But orbs, if I have to answer in like one word, I would say it's energy. I'm capturing energy. one of my heroes, Albert Einstein, said energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So he then goes on to say, so, and I'll paraphrase this part, if matter is energy and energy is light, then really we are all light beings. So what I'm capturing is our essence. We start out as light, we come here on earth, we wear these jackets. When we leave, we go back to our true selves, which is energy. So that's basically what orbs are. Who they are, I think I've already covered, and why they're here, especially now prolifically, because number one, our digital cameras, but number two, we are finally in a place, I believe, where we can accept this and understand the messages and receive the messages. I think humankind has come a long way in opening up spiritually and perhaps asking other questions and looking in other directions. You know, you ask the bigger questions. And I'm sure you understand when I say, you know, when my son passed, that's when you kind of ask the bigger questions. What is this all about? Why are we here? You know, why do we do this? What happens when we die? You know, and that's what Robbie has shown me through the orbs. So I'll pause here, Elizabeth, in case there's something you wanted to ask.
Well, it's interesting. There's one, Lindsay's saying, I just took 2 pictures of myself and there's no orbs. I feel like my vibration is pretty good. I'd love to have my son come through as an orb. I think that maybe it takes a little bit more than just taking a picture. Can you maybe go through a little bit of information about how people should be going about this?
Absolutely. And yes, please do not give up. You know, remember I said when I started, I just had these little tiny gray dots. So keep at it, keep doing it. I don't take pictures of myself. My husband now has become quite the good orb photographer himself. But always leave your flash on. I do not recommend using a cell phone. On my website, it's called theorbconnection.com. I have a whole section called false orbs. And a lot of the naysayers of orbs say, oh, it's just dust, it's just this, it's just that. And yes, it can be. But a lot of people use cell phone cameras. And I get pictures all the time and people are so excited and they've taken a picture into the sun or at the sunset of the beach or into the window and there'll be a little blue or green or red dot on the picture. That's what they call lens flare. And cell phone cameras are famous for that. So what I tell people is if you want to start doing orb photography, get a cheap little digital camera. The cheaper the better because they don't have filters on them. So that's the number one thing. And then of course, like I said, leave the flash on all the time. Don't give up. Build that rapport. I go out, if weather permits, every single night and I talk to my orb people, my peeps, I ask them to come in and they're there. So it takes a little while, but don't give up. It's not just a one and done. You know, you have to build the relationship. I love that she said my vibration is high and I have the intent. That's wonderful. Keep that up. But I'll show you one picture if I can. I was at the beach. I'm in Southern California, and there's a sacred Indian land near Huntington Beach, and there's memorials to it. So I was there and I asked my husband to take my picture. And so I called in the spirit. And so this is what I got. Can you see that? So it's better. And the only reason I'm showing that is
wait, go back. You know what? If people are not in speaker view, go into speaker view so you only see her picture. I'm talking now, but go ahead and talk, Nancy, so that people
Okay,
can see.
okay. So this picture, and this is one of the reasons why I do not take my own picture, because I need someone to stand back a little bit and take my picture. If I do selfies, it just doesn't work. It's like extreme close up and there's no room for the orb. But you don't have to even take a picture of you. It's like a lot of times I will go like to a favorite place that my son used to go to, and I'll take a picture. Or we used to have so much fun out at the barbecue, and I'll say, you know, Robbie, are you here? And I'll take a picture, and there'll be the orb, or in his old room. So they don't necessarily have to always be next to you. You know, they're always with us. But for them to show, they can say, hey, I'm over here. So continue to do that.
There are a few other questions
Oh,
there
sure.
that are along the same lines, but I want you to be able to continue talking. Roseanne is asking if you can take pictures during the day or only at night.
That's a great question. And that's why I said leave the flash on day and night.
Okay.
Yes, you can. I get orbs during the day. They are not as common as at night, but I have gotten them. If you do orb photography, this is what you want to stay away from. You want to stay away from, like I said, cell phone cameras. If it's raining or snowing outside, if it's windy, you want to stay away from light sources, reflective sources, and I think that's about it. That way you know you've gotten what I call a spirit-driven orb and not a technology-caused orb. Do you see the difference? So, but it's okay, and I'm going to tell you this, a secret. My very first orb picture wasn't really an orb. It was, in fact, lens flare. But here's how intent works. I was so thrilled that I captured what I thought was an orb. I marched ahead, and then I expected the orbs to show up, and they did. So, you know, again, it's the intent. It's building the excitement. It's, you know, my son told me, Mom, when you approach this like with childlike wonder, you know, and I learned something from the orbs every day. I've been doing this now for nearly 10 years. The orbs continue to change, evolve. So every day I go out at night and I go, oh, what am I going to get tonight? You know, there's always that excitement around. You know, I'll tell you this too. I've used the same kind of camera for about 8 years, and I have gotten probably 8 different types of orbs. I never change my settings. The flash is always on. I'm the same photographer, but what changes is the orbs. So again, on my website, I have all the different types of orbs that I have named.
Well, can I ask you another question then? Alicia is saying, I don't take photos and find orbs. However, in some photos, I see a lot of small faces. Have you heard of this?
Yes. And people ask me too, well, do you capture anything, you know, other than orbs, you know, in spirit? And yes, I have. Yes. And there are people, and I've seen the pictures, and again, spirit is opportunistic. So they have to use what we have in this 3D world to communicate and let us know that they're here. So they will use shadows. They will use folds and drapes, or wrinkles in pillows, or, you know, the way your sweater falls. Absolutely. And the orbs do the same thing. They will position themselves in front of something that forms their face. It's incredible how they do that. So yes, I have heard of that.
That's interesting. And Bren is asking if orbs ever appear on video. Is that something that you've ever done, is to videotape with orbs?
and that's a great question. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the false orbs. I have had a lot of people send me their videos from the those night cameras, security cameras, and the Ring cameras, and you'll see these. Sometimes they're bugs, or you'll see these things floating in front. Most of the time, those cameras are very sensitive with the infrared, so they're usually picking up dust. Okay, here's how I tell the difference. If I'm videotaping and I see an orb, and I ask the orb to come and sit on my hand, or I ask the orb to go sit in a chair, or to do something else, and it responds, that's when I know I have spirit and not dust. So just be careful with all those, you know, the nanny cam cameras and the Ring cameras and everything. But I'm also going to caution or say this. It's just like I said, the very first picture that I took was not really an orb. So if there's a picture that makes you feel connected, then hang on to that picture, because that's special to you, and then go from there.
That's beautiful. Well, Sangeeta is saying, my friend's place was full of orbs. This was just after a month that Parth left, and she asked me to visit her. They were showing even when I clicked with a flash, but had no clue to their meaning, but just felt my son could be trying to show his presence. But not sure then, but with you now telling us, I am quite sure that indeed my son was trying to reach me. But they were not in my house. And when I tried to take the same video, let's see, please explain. I guess she's asking about the video part. This was before you were explaining about the video, so that must be it. But that's interesting that Sangeeta is now realizing that what she was seeing in the pictures was actually her son.
You know, absolutely. Our loved ones want to reach us as much as we want to reach them. That's the beautiful part of this. And, you know, I used to get a lot of, well, I still do. I'm a bit of a medium junkie, but I get a lot of readings, and, you know, the medium would tell me the message, and I would think, oh, I wish I could see what you're seeing, you know. Well, now I have worked with several mediums, and they'll do demonstrations, and as they're reading, I'll take pictures of the person they're reading, and there will be the orb. And but so the person actually can see it, and then they have the hard evidence, the hard proof that yes, my loved one was right here talking, you know. The other thing that I was going to say was, when I have events or I have people over, sometimes I'll take pictures in my backyard if they're close, or I'll travel to their house. But they go, well, there's so many orbs in your yard. And I'll go, but you bring your own. You know, you all have your own orbs. You all have, and they can even be your guardian angels, you know, around you. They're not there just because I show up with a camera. They're with you all the time, and they're going to be with you all the time. So just know that, you know, when spirit is around me, I will know, because I can feel, it's like I walk through cobwebs, and then I know it's time to take a picture. So pay attention to those sensations, pay attention to those nudges. It truly, and remember, spirit is subtle. You know, it's not like they can just, you know, sit down in a chair next to us and start a conversation. You know, they're doing the best they can to communicate. And so that's what Robbie's taught me about spirit. He goes, Mom, I'm not leaving, you know, I'm right here. And that has brought me so much comfort. Elizabeth, if I can, I have a lot of people, and I'm sure you do, people, when they find out that you lose a child, they said, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I have to say, I appreciate your compassion and your sentiment, and I understand what you're saying, but I didn't lose him. He just changed. I lost the physical presence, absolutely, and I miss that, absolutely. But this new version of him, his true essence, the work, it transcends that. You know, this work is so much more important than that. The love of each other is so much more important than that. So that's what keeps me going. And so I hope you're able to find something like that too, because it shifts your focus, it shifts your purpose, and it brings so much comfort.
That's beautiful. And going back to what you were saying before about all of these orbs in your garden, I was wondering, Tom is asking, is it usually one orb per spirit, or can a spirit show up as multiple orbs?
Yes, I love it when it's one face to an orb because it's easier for me to see it and to communicate with it. However, I'll tell you this story. I have a friend, and I went to her house and she was crying, and I said, "What's wrong?" And one of the animals that she had rescued had just accidentally died, and she was devastated. And so I said, okay, let me take your picture and see what we can get. So I took a picture, and there's this great big orb by her, and there were 3 faces in it. And the one was her father. Another one was a very special dog. It was like her soul dog. And then there was the squirrel. That was the animal that had just crossed in the orb. So they all 3 came in together. And so it was like her dad was telling her, in fact, he told me, tell her I've got it, you know, everybody's fine. And, you know, so yeah, there can be multiple. Orbs are also, they're fascinating to look at, because when you look at orbs, and when I first started, I would look at orbs and I'd see, okay, you know, I see a face. I can go back now to my pictures I've done 5 or 6 years ago and look at the orb, and it's like there's many, many layers, and you start peering into it and you see different things and it morphs. Another thing that I did, and you may want to try this, is after my son crossed, I went on his computer and I started going through all his photos. And I was shocked at how many of the pictures had orbs in them around him that I never noticed. I didn't have my spirit eyes. So go back through some of the pictures and see if you don't notice that there's orbs there already.
I have noticed that about Morgan. Lots of pictures before he passed had orbs in them. And I'm very, very, I recognize orbs all the time, but I know you have some absolutely beautiful pictures of orbs. And I was wondering if you might be able to tell us a little bit about what's in these pictures that you can show us, if that's possible. Could you maybe put ones up that are meaningful to you?
Well, I'm going to show you this one, only because, and can you see that?
Yes.
So what I do is when I get a really special orb is I'll make a meme out of it. So this one says, I didn't change, I just woke up. But these are some of the orbs that I call crown jewels. And they're just so vibrant and so bright. And some of the orbs that I capture now are almost 5 feet across. They're huge. Now, some people say, are they portals? Maybe. But I think that they're round. I asked Robbie once, I said, why are orbs round? Why do they do that? And he said, it's the most efficient way for them to travel between the dimensions. So I said, okay, I got to take your word on that. I'm not a physicist. But now some of the faces that I have on my website, and I can't get my hands on right now, but I will tell you, I have captured Albert Einstein in an orb, and probably because I quote him a lot. I have captured Nikola Tesla, another one of my heroes, in an orb. I write about that. I have my book that's on the website. My second book comes out in about a month. And it's going to go into the orbs and why they're here and what they're here to show us a little deeper. One of my favorite stories in my second book, I'll give you a heads up preview of this. I captured one night in December an orb, and I looked at it and I went, who is this? And then I went, oh my gosh, it's John Lennon. So I went, why am I capturing John Lennon in an orb in my backyard in December, right? So again, orbs, they're purposeful. So not only do they have a meaning of the color, where they appear, but also when they appear. So I looked up important dates on John Lennon, and sure enough, he appeared on the anniversary of his passing, almost to the minute. So now there's a connection with Robbie and John Lennon and all that, and I explain that more, but I get a lot of faces that I don't recognize, and people say, well, why? And again, because they can. I call those drive-bys. So it's, and sometimes I'll post them on my website or my Facebook page, and I'll say, does anybody recognize that? And I've had people write me back and said, yes, that's my father, or yes, that's my brother. So that's how they're working to reach to their loved one to let them know that they're okay. It's a fascinating thing that they do. And that's why I'm always excited to take the pictures.
Well, your first book is Entering the Light Fantastic. And I think that there's a sub part of it. Wait just one second. Discovering Life After Life, sorry. The second one, do you have a working title for that yet? Because people are all asking about your book. The Entering the Light Fantastic is on our book recommended reading on our website in case you want to find it there, as well as I'm sure on your website, Nancy.
Yes.
But go ahead and let us know about the second book. Do you have a working title?
I do. It's called Encircled by the Light Fantastic, and it's a deeper journey into the light with orbs. So that book has over 130 pictures. So, you know, if you want to see pictures, that's a place to go, but also my website. So that'll be out in, like I said, next month.
Well, we have a whole bunch of other questions. Can I ask you some questions? Okay. So let's see. Peggy is saying, do you usually look at them in digital form, or are you printing them before you really look really well at them? Is that something that you find is necessary?
That is a great question. Again, the best place to see the orbs is always on the back of my camera. They're the clearest, the crispest. They don't get distorted. Each time I transfer them to another medium, even if it's onto my computer or then into the print, you know, I do lose some of the subtleties. So whenever I look at orbs, I look at the back of my camera. You know, I'll zoom in. I'll take a bunch of pictures. I'll take 20, 25 pictures at night, each night, and then I'll sit with them and I'll look at them and before I erase them. And then the ones that I don't need, you know, then I'll erase. But the back of the camera is always the best place to see that.
And Nancy, I don't have your website up here with me. Could you just give it to me so that I can type it in here? Because a lot of people have been asking for it.
Oh, sure. It's real simple. All one word, theorbconnection.com.
Theorbconnection.com. Okay. And then also, Rhonda is asking, Nancy, how do you know who the orbs are? John Lennon or Einstein or Tesla? How is it that you're able to discern? So when I first started taking orb pictures, I was not a medium. I can now bring in spirit and talk to spirit. So they will talk to me. But the pictures that I'm talking about, the John Lennons, the Einsteins, when I post their pictures, I will put their actual photograph next to the orb and you can see it. It's undeniable. So that's how clear these are. So you would say that you have an idea of who it is, and then you look for a picture of that person, and the picture looks very similar to the orb itself. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. And what's interesting is it's even like when my son appeared, or let's use my brother. I lost my brother when he was 13 and I was 9. And I have the last photograph that was ever taken of him. It's a school photograph, but I cherish it. When he appeared, and his picture is crazy, you'll see it on my website or in my book. When he appeared exactly as he was in that photograph. So that's how you'll know when your loved ones come in, or the celebrities come in, they will appear just as a photograph that I can find. That they'll be looking the same way, they'll be the hat's the same way, the glasses are the same way. You know, I did a presentation for our local Helping Parents here in California a couple years ago, and the gal that ran it had lost a son, and I took a picture and I got the orb by her, and I could see her son, and she said, "Would you like to see the picture of him?" And I said yes, and it was identical. So spirit helps me, you know, to do that. They know that, okay, they're going to have to ID this picture, so let's give her some clues here, which I'm grateful for.
Wonderful. Well, it's interesting because Marcia is saying, wow, Nikola Tesla, this is amazingly similar to Sonia Rinaldi's work, which is EVP. I find this so validating. So have you already had other people kind of equate to the same kinds of faces that you're getting in these orbs?
You know, again, it's purposeful. The reason Nikola Tesla appeared, and I talk about it in my second book, is because I was very near his birthplace in Bosnia. And I traveled there, and I walked some of the places that he was. And then I quote him a lot in my presentations, because Nikola Tesla says, and I'm sure you've heard this, if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Energy, frequency, and vibration, that's what the orbs are. You know, the rate of vibration determines the color, and the energy determines, you know, the vibration. So I quote him a lot. So you know, when we talk about our loved ones, and one of the reasons why when I do my presentations, and I'll tell my sitter, talk to your loved ones and invite them in, it's like when we say their name, when we talk to them, it's like that guitar string that's attached, and we twang that guitar string, and they get the message on the other side. Oh, someone's talking about me, I'm coming in, you know. So I think that's why a lot of times I get that. The other reason that I get the celebrities is they want to send a message. It's time. They're timing something. And it's important for humanity's ascension and our spiritual growth and our connection. So they're driving that one. I'm just the vehicle that they're using. So, but you know what? Everybody's working together, right? I mean, there's so many spiritual things happening, and science is coming together with spirituality and new discoveries. And so I think everybody's working together.
That's beautiful. You know, people are asking as well in the private messages to me exactly what your camera is. You know, you explained that it was a cheaper one without a filter. Could you tell us
Well,
the secret of your
I will. This is my little Nikon camera.
Okay, so it's
okay,
a Nikon.
it's the Nikon Coolpix. Now, Coolpix has many models. This one, actually, they don't make anymore. And the only reason I like it is because it has a touch screen on the back, because I zoom into so many pictures. But they don't make this one anymore.
Oh, okay, so.
But you want a camera that, number one, feels good in your hand. The biggest viewfinder, this is my viewfinder, the biggest viewfinder that you can see always helps too, because you're going to review most of your pictures on the back of your camera. So make sure you can see it. That's really only the requirement, and that it has the flash.
So could I ask a question myself? Do
Absolutely.
you ever see these orbs with the naked eye, or do you only see them once you've taken the picture with a flash?
You know, that's another great question. And yes, I have seen the orbs with my eyes probably a half a dozen times. I have friends who are very gifted mediums who can see orbs all the time. I talk about my friend in my second book. She had a near-death experience, and when she came back, her gifts were just cracked wide open. And I had lunch with her one day, and we were talking, and she kept doing this in front of my face. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Nancy, there are so many orbs around you, I can't see your face." So again, they are always here. And that's another reason why, you know, orbs are real, is because people see them with their eyes. You know, dust doesn't do that.
That's wonderful. So I also wonder, do you see them? I know that that one beautiful one that you showed to us had many different colors, but do orbs show up in different colors in your pictures? Do you have a green one? Do you have a purple one? Or are they mostly just beautiful white color?
No, so let me tell you, there are, again, reasons why they show up in different colors. As I told you, my son was teal. If someone's sending a love, it's you know, usually pink. If there's healing energy, it's green. But don't box them into that. The orbs will show up, and there's a color chart of orbs on my website, and it shows from white to dark, dark indigo, and every color in between. Now, I will tell you that it is my belief that the bright white ones, they're not so bright as they are brilliant. There's a brilliance to them and a shine. Those are more from the angelic realm. I also have to tell you this. I've been doing orb photography, like I said, for 10 years. I'm not an expert. I learn something every day. I have no initials after my name because I don't believe there's degrees offered in orb photography. So just know that what I'm telling you and what I call the orbs, those are mine. So, you know, take what fits and then just leave the rest behind. I'm not coming here to be an expert. I learn something. The orbs show me something new all the time. So I just wanted to tell you that. I still feel like a babe in the woods in orb photography, even after 10 years.
Well, that's amazing. And your book is so beautiful. And it really is wonderful to see the pictures that you have in your book as well. And let's see, I'm trying to see if we've missed questions, because I don't want to miss anyone's question this evening. Let's see. Rose is saying, wouldn't a spirit loved one use whatever way they can to message us? Example, a series of synchronicities, and some may be in pictures taken in one of the series of synchronicities, such as a message in one way, and then a picture taken with a cell phone that shows a rainbow going from a higher source to me that was captured. Also, a picture taken at a life celebration that shows two faces in the middle of a torso, or of giant photos of my son. Not sure that it was taken with a cell phone or not. I suppose that what Rose is explaining is that, yes, I agree with her. Spirit will use whatever way possible to get through. And this is one of them, and it's a beautiful way.
Absolutely. It's only one of them, but it's one of them that, you know, like I said, we can hold in our hand. The signs of the rainbow, even though I get orbs and my son's appeared in the orbs, he'll still send me dragonflies. You know, he'll still play the music for me, the certain song. So yes, they use everything and anything that they can. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not just limited to the orbs by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I have Carol asking, and she asked above, and I forgot to ask this, can orbs show on walls in your home? Is that something that you've seen?
Oh, on orbs? I mean, on walls?
On
Oh,
walls, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I've taken pictures in the house where I've asked an orb to literally sit in the chair, and I'll take a picture and there's the orb right smack dab in the middle of the chair. So, when I tell you that they respond and they listen to us, and the reason they respond is because they want us to know, okay, I hear you. So that's, my son has always told me, Mom, just talk to me like you always did. I hear you. In fact, you don't even have to talk because I can hear your thoughts. And I said, well, that's kind of scary, but so they do respond, and they are a part of our lives, and they want to be a part of our lives. And I think that's one of the messages from the orbs is we haven't left you. We can never leave you. We have this bond, this love that unites us. And we're just trying to show you that, it's not, it hasn't been severed. We're still together on some level.
That's beautiful. Sandy's saying that my son crossed last year. So far, he has come a few times in pictures as an orb over his children's head, which sounds really beautiful.
Oh.
And then Alicia is saying, I took orb pictures in a cemetery and there were so many. Can you explain this?
Well, I have, when you're outside like that, and it depends, is it dusty? What's the weather like? So, watch that. But I don't take pictures at cemeteries. And I don't because I know that spirit doesn't hang out, where they're there. I mean, where their headstone is. I know that Robbie's with me. So I don't feel the need to go to cemeteries to do that. I tell people, if you want to take a picture, like I said earlier, take a picture of their favorite car or their dog that they loved, and there'll be an orb next to that. For me, that means more.
That makes complete sense. And Thomas is saying, recently I saw a white orb about the size of a volleyball, and attached to the edge of it was a smaller white orb about the size of a softball. I've never seen them attached before. Have you ever seen that, Nancy?
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting things about that. Sometimes the orbs will bring in other orbs. And it's almost like the souls are coming in with a guide to see what this earth is all about. So, they're being shown around. Other times it can be, a loved one in spirit. And if we have lost an infant, so they're showing that, I have the infant with me. So again, don't put them in a box. There's many, many, many different reasons why they do that. And then sometimes I'll get orbs that are two different colors. One will be, a bright purple and the other one is a pink. So it's like, okay, this orb is showing love, to you. Now I do, and also the other thing that they will do is they'll arrange themselves in a pattern. I've gotten orbs where they have arranged themselves in letters. So they'll do that too.
That's amazing. Well, we're running out of time, but I want to just let you know what people are saying. People are saying that is beautiful, very informative. Thank you. I believe this. Thank you. Let's see. So interesting. Thank you for this. Thank you for this fascinating information. And I'm really excited because you are coming out with a second book soon. So we'll definitely have you back to speak about that book as well. And again, could you just remind us of your website? I have it up here, but just go ahead and let us know one more time, Nancy.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And it's been my pleasure to be here. My website is just called theorbconnection.com. All one word.
Theorbconnection.com, yes.
And my book is on there, and all the pictures are on there too. The book is Entering the Light Fantastic.
And it's a beautiful cover. I love the colors on that. And so, yes, and I would assume that people can get in touch with you if they have questions. Is that true through your website?
Absolutely. Yes, there's a contact form on my website. If there's a picture that you would like me to take a look at, I will give you my best interpretation. I'd be happy to do that. Or if you have questions, just write to me. I try to get back to everybody. And
that's wonderful. And what is somebody's saying your Facebook handle? So I would assume you're just Nancy Myers on Facebook. Is that right?
Actually, it's my maiden name in the middle, Nancy Pearman, P-A-I-R-M-A-N Myers is my Facebook. But I also have a Facebook called the Orb Connection.
And you have a Facebook called the Orb Connection. Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
So this is all wonderful information. I truly appreciate you being here. I have to just quickly say a public service announcement at the end of this very quickly. We are no longer letting anyone in that's just named iPhone or iPad or a phone number, because we have to be very careful about the security of the meetings after what's been happening all over the place, unfortunately. So please make sure that that you have a name on your Zoom account before you try to come in, because I don't want to kick you out, but at the same time, I don't want to let somebody that we don't know in. And secondly, please join us tomorrow 1 hour early for John Holland, and then on Wednesday night for Mark Anthony at the regular time. And what we usually do at the end of all of these meetings is have everybody unmute and say goodbye. So we're going to do that now. And thank you so much, Nancy. This has been really fun. So
so glad
go
you did.
ahead.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.